good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're from. Hello, this is Anne Phey, leadership coach. And I'm here with you with 365 Paid Forward with Life Coach University. So we're having a series of talks this month of May, and it's leadership lessons from the boss from hell to heaven. And that's me. So today I've got an interesting topic to share. So yesterday we talked about self-belief, and I thought it'd be nice today to share something different because today is Vesak Day, which is a day which is celebrated across the world, and it is about having light and having beautiful energy because it is a Buddhist festival, and it commemorates the birth, enlightenment, and death of Gautama Buddha in the Buddhist beliefs. So while maybe not all of us are Buddhists, but I would like to share some of these traditions because the different cultures and religions and belief systems in the world can teach us something new. And because it is about enlightenment, I thought that the topic we could talk about today is about our own self progress in the spiritual realm. So, yes, this is about leadership. And why are you talking about spiritual stuff when, usually leadership is all about the corporate skills development and mentoring and how do we get the team to drive towards high performance. I have touched on many of these topics, but I think that the spiritual aspect is something that is rather important too, because I always see that a leader is not just a leader at work. The leadership component of all of us is an embodiment. It is in our mind, it's in our speech, it's in our heart, it's in our gut, and it's in our spirit. So, Anne, are you going to talk about woo stuff today? Well, if you think that spirit is all about woo, then maybe I'm hoping that this session would help to share some light on it. So, at the back of me is a giant crystal singing bowl. And like all things, I want to say that humans like to attach belief systems and practices and form stereotypes. So when you see a singing bowl, like a Tibetan singing bowl, which is made of metal, most people ask me, oh, is that a religious item for Buddhists? And especially when we call it a Tibetan bowl, it actually originated from Tibet, right? And now it's being made in India and in Nepal. It may not be religious, it's just an item. Likewise, this crystal bowl. So some people say, what's up with crystal? Is it like a new age thing? But it is just crystal. Do you realize that we've got crystals in our watches too? And that's how the mechanism of the watch works. So a crystal is just an item that is found from the earth, is a natural substance. But we love to attach stereotypes. We love to attach it to what we can comprehend within our system. So today I'm going to do two things. One is I'm going to challenge all of us to think something differently, right? And to remove all these layers of bias and look at things as they are. And when we can look at things as they are, that's when we start our spiritual growth, which is the second thing I want to talk about. So if you think this is woo, please stay on because it is not. So we always believe that our body is here on earth as a physical body. We're born on earth. But if it's just the body and function without the spirit or the soul, we'll be the walking dead. So all of us have a soul, all of us have a spirit. So what is so woo about talking about it? I think that if we want to be leaders, we got to be able to firstly recognize that what we are made of, right? And so when we go to school and we graduate from our high school or university, or those of you who have taken masters or even PhDs, we are training our mind, right? And when we deal with relationships, working with teams, understanding each other, falling in love, getting angry, and sometimes, positive and negative emotion, that's all part and parcel of our heart. But that's where our feelings sit. And then our gut is where we have that intuition about, oh, how do we make decisions? And sometimes in our gut, we say, oh, we got to do things a certain way. That's because there is an innate intelligence in us, either, practiced through experience and the body kind of like have this subconscious ability, or it's something that we have already born with it, that some of us just have a stronger gut feel that is more accurate than others, right? And let's talk about the spirit. So what is it about the spirit? The spirit is the part of us that allows us to develop beyond all these capabilities to really understand what is our life and our purpose. So I'm just gonna look at what's the definition of spirit, right? So it says it's the non-physical part of a person that is the seat of emotions and character, the soul. So we often seek a harmony between the body and the spirit. Another definition is about the prevailing or typical quality, mood, and attitude of a person, group over a period of time. So we talk about the spirit of confidence. Now, really, when we talk about the spirit, what is really the spirit? It's really the consciousness of our life. Is the part that we cannot quite touch. We can touch our head. We know that we have a brain. We can touch our heart, know that emotions are coming. We can touch our stomach, say that's the gut. But the spirit is not something that's tangible. But the fact that it's intangible doesn't mean that it's not there. It's like the air that we breathe. We can't really see it, but it is there, right? Gravity, we can't see it, but it is there. And can you measure it? Yes, you can measure spirit. How? Through feeling. Have you had goosebumps out of nowhere? That's probably because there's something that has touched the spirit. Now, so what is it about spirit and leadership? Now, one thing is to embrace that we all have a spirit, and how we develop our spirit is actually how advanced we are as a person. We can be the smartest person, but if we can't handle our emotions, we don't have EQ, right? Emotional quotient. And if we are really able to handle our emotions, but we're not developed on the spiritual side, then we also don't have a spiritual quotient. And what is a spiritual quotient? A spiritual quotient is how adapted are we and comfortable to talk about things about the spirit. So what do we talk about when we talk about the spirit? The spirit is alive, and the spirit is our connection to the universe. For some of us, it is a connection to God. It is also the connection to our own inner intelligence. It is what makes us breathe. It is what makes us awaken to the state that we're in. It is what makes us aspire to be where we want to go. It is also the spirit that teaches us compassion and love and how do we work with others. It is also the spirit that allows us to have innovation and invention. So you look like all the smart people like Einstein, and all the inventors in the world, Van Gogh or Leonardo da Vinci, where do they get all that inspiration from? Well, some believe that it's from an external source. I just believe that they knew about their spirit, and their spirit could connect to the universal store and warehouse of knowledge and all that, right? So some of you who believe in a greater God, you either pray to God or you are connecting with God, and there's a download of wisdom and knowledge. And those of us There are some who do not believe in God, and maybe you believe in a greater universe. There is a universe of wisdom and truth out there. And for those who say, "No, I don't believe any of this," then let's look inward, because the Spirit is within us, and that gives us the quietness, the wisdom, and the knowledge, and the consciousness that allows us to evolve. So one is being able to recognize this greater supernatural or internal force that we can embrace. And by being able to embrace that, we are also peeling off our own bias of what's happening in other people's life, because everybody has a spirit that is unique to them. And that also means that we open up to whatever their belief systems are, whatever culture, whatever religion that they believe in. There is a way that everyone is learning to grow and allowing themselves to evolve. And we're all evolving in our own personal journey at a different pace, in a different way. So it's just to recognize that. Now, the second thing that I want to talk about is when we embrace the Spirit, then what are we doing to improve ourselves and evolve? So for me, I did meditation. And for some, it might be mindfulness. For some, it might be whatever it takes, right? You go and run and you're able to get into your inner space. But whatever act that we do, there is that level of being present, of knowing that we are here in the now, and that when we quieten our thoughts, quieten our emotions, being peaceful and calm, that we are in a space where we can access our inner intelligence and spirit. The reason I'm sharing this is because that was how I moved from hell to heaven. I was so stressed out in my job that I was hardly eating. My first meal could be at 10 p.m. at night, because I wake up in the morning and I start working. I'm running from meetings to meetings, and sometimes and because we're running a regional office, a lot of times we don't even eat our lunch, because lunch in the morning is when we talk to Australia and New Zealand. In the afternoon, we're talking to India, the Indian continent, because that's their morning and our lunchtime. And by the afternoon, we start to talk to Europe and the rest of Asia Pacific. And by the nighttime, we're talking to US. So I was literally working to, like, after my meetings at 11:30 to 12:30 at night. My brain is so fired up, I can't sleep. And by the time I sleep, it's time to wake up again. So I was hardly eating, hardly taking any breaks. I went to the doctor and there was nothing wrong, but my body had went up 2 dress sizes in 1 year. Or maybe it just crept up and I didn't know. And so someone suggested, why don't you try meditation? Like, what is meditation going to do my body weight? I had no idea. So I tried it. The other thing I did was I went through a detox. I went for some kind of detox massage, and the lady taught me about the body clock. So I want to share this as well, because we need to fall asleep by 10 or latest 11 p.m. Because from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m., that's when our body repairs ourselves. So if we're out partying, working late, not sleeping, we're not doing ourselves any favor, and our body can't detox. And that's one of the reasons why I put on weight. The other reason was all these heavy duties and stress and thinking about how to run the business, manage the team, and managing multiple stakeholders in a diverse and matrix organization. You know how it is, right? You have a global boss, a functional boss, a business boss, and a cross-functional boss, and a country boss. So when I started meditation, that was when I was able to get into this silent moment, and all things remain still. And I started to realize and have an awareness of my situation, and where I was and what I needed. It was like this clarity, as if I've stepped out of my own body and I look back in and I see this crazy, busy mice on the wheel and what was going on, how everybody was like. I started to see them in very clear perspective. It's kind of like looking into like like looking into your hamster cage and looking at the hamster and noticing what's really happening around the whole environment, like a glass bowl of where I was. And when I saw that, I realized that, oh my God, like I was just like on autopilot and not taking care of myself. And it wasn't like the best way to take care of my team as well, because by doing that, everybody is in their little wheels and running, and everybody's just going after what they need. Sure, we achieve high performance, but as a person and as a team, I guess we were not that evolved. So with that quietness, I started to listen. And it's almost like my body was telling me, you gotta eat healthily. And that was when I stopped um, and not wanting to eat like red meat. And slowly I stopped eating white meat. And eventually, practicing over a couple of years, I became a vegetarian. Now, I'm not advocating that you be vegetarian, but your body will know what you need. That's the most important thing. And I also started understanding what I needed for my own balance and what the team needed. It's really strange. We're in that quiet moment, you see things so clearly. You can even see what needs to be done, what needs to be said. And that is that intelligence that comes from your inner spirit, right? And therefore, that's why I want to share this, that if if as leaders we can practice some sort of meditation or mindfulness, being in the present moment and allowing all these noise and circumstance to just peel and drop away, and just you in your solitary moment connect with your spirit. Your spirit will, will give you that inner sense of peace, quoting something that I learned when I was young, that peace that's beyond understanding, that's beyond comprehension, but there's just this clarity and quietness. And when you come out of that session, you get your answers. So wouldn't you like to tap into this internal intelligence? So this is what I want to share, so that I hope that inspires us to really look inwards for our own evolution. And why do I put this singing bowl there? So a lot of people ask me, hey, I can't sit down and be still. My mind's running 1,000 miles. So of course we teach techniques in mindfulness and meditations about, observing your thoughts as they come by, as if it is the traffic on the road, and just be an observer. And over time, you will realize that these thoughts are fading away in that moment. So one of the techniques that I found that helps me to drop really quickly into the meditative mode, and some call it dropping from the alpha, beta to the theta, and even the delta mode, is using sound. So, I mean, there are apps like Calm and all that you can go and check out, like music that helps to put you into the mood. There are some that say 432 hertz works. So for me, a singing bowl works, because when you just ring it and we focus on the sound vibration is like, it lifts us up. So sound is like a wave, right? So it pushes out all the noise. You know how the sea waves pushes out all the dirt from the beach, right? And it just leaves you with a crystal clear mindset and beingness. So this is when you are being versus doing. So wherever you are, whatever can give you that sense of calm and peace, whether it is prayer, going for a walk by the park, even running until you're perspiring and, just focus on your breath. That itself is a moment of mindfulness and focus where everything else has dropped off. So with this Vesak Day of Enlightenment, I thought that this would be a good time to share about connecting to our spirit, whatever religion we are, whatever belief system we have, because all of us have a spirit and we can evolve. We can come to that sense of peace and calm and gain from our inner wisdom. Great. So let's check out if there are any comments or questions. So there's a question. So is meditation and mindfulness something that you would advise that we bring into the workplace? Because some companies have started doing mindfulness, some are looking at mental fitness. There is a growing interest now. How do you see that being incorporated into companies? Okay, that's a great question. So it all depends on the leadership and the team, how they are viewing this aspect of spirituality, quietness, mindfulness, and meditation. From my experience, meditation has a lot of connotations. So when I tried to share meditation in the company that I was with, a lot of people say, is that Buddhist? And then the Catholics say, no, we've got meditations in the Catholic faith too. Do you know that the priest and even the Singapore Prime Minister, the ex-Prime Minister, late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew practiced meditation too. But because it has so much connotation and it is not as widely accepted, but mindfulness has been, and I have been part of a group within my company that brought mindfulness to our communities at work. So for myself, I started doing a weekly session. So every week during a lunchtime, I would open up my Zoom or Skype or, whatever you guys are using, Teams, and I would just open it up to any of my colleagues who wanted to come in for that mindfulness session. So initially it was just one or two persons, and it started to grow because people feel stressed, and having that moment of mindfulness, it really helped them. And they started to share at the end of every session, every week, and it was so encouraging. And I want to do a shout out to Patrick as well. Patrick was leading the mindfulness globally at IBM, where I was, and he was such a great partner to work with, and he created like a community of practice for all the mindfulness facilitators and leaders across the region, and we all basically loved it, and it's a work of our passion. We're not paid for it, but we just volunteer because we know the impact that it has on ourselves and others. So some of the things that I do during the mindfulness session is I do breathing exercises. So you can do like the quick breath, or you can do like breathe in and out, or you could do like the tactile, or you could do audio observation. You can feel the observing the sounds, and there are a lot of mindfulness practices that you can find out more about. And people would tell me that they felt calmer because they were just rushing a project out, and when they came in, they were really in a hurry and stressed. But after the session, they felt that they could breathe, and they could, they were ready to go back to work and face what, that stress with a much better state of mind. There were others who also said that breathing helped them to release some pain in the body, because sometimes we are so caught up in our work, we're typing, and then, and some of the physical exercise that we do during mindfulness as we relax help them to release that. So mindfulness is a great way to introduce, because it is secular is non-religious, it's cultural, so we can all practice mindfulness. So you just need someone to champion it in your company and let it come from the grassroots, because that's how we started. And before I left, I was able to train 7 others who then continued the practice, and it's a beautiful pay it forward, right? And now, actually, I'm working on another project called Positive Intelligence. So this is another great practice that was started by Shaman Shazad, and he's even got an app called the PQ Rep, where you work through a pod of 5 to 6 people, and you take an assessment of your saboteurs, and then throughout the 6 weeks, you realize when the saboteur acts up and you're stressful, then you do some, they call it the PQ reps, which is like a mental fitness. It's similar to mindfulness because it's about listening to the audio, like using your fingers so that you can straight away just remember to drop into your, sage mode, where not be stressed and be calm. He also has different kind of techniques, so that's another avenue to go for. So companies are starting to embrace that, and some other companies I know, they actually do exercise, yoga, or mindfulness sessions. And in Singapore, I have a great mindfulness practitioner, and when I was organizing the International Coaching Week 2 years ago in 2020, I brought 3 mindfulness practitioners on board, and before each seminar started, I had them share about 20 minutes of mindfulness, of practice. And actually, I had really great feedback from the audience. I think we had like 400 people who were on the seminar, with I think we had like 12 speakers from 6 different countries, and it was a blowout, yeah. And they told me that, and we're so used to sitting and listening to Zoom, but the mindfulness session just helped them to refocus so that they were ready to go into the Zoom sessions listening to the speakers talk. And I've incorporated it into events. So there are many ways that we can do that. So leave me a note if you like to chat further on this. Connect with me on LinkedIn or Facebook. And if you're keen, we've got lots of people in the community that can partner with you to bring it to your workplace, or through your events, or even in your community. It has done a lot of change for me, because when I became quieter in my mind, and with the clarity and the perspective that I could see where everyone was coming from, that was when I became the boss from heaven, because I came from their perspective of how they saw the work and what needed to be done. The team continued to be effective, but the team and myself started to take care of ourselves physically, mentally, and emotionally. And when we are not in that stress mode, we can function better, because we are quicker, we are happier, we are calmer. So things get done much more efficiently. So it's a bit of a counterintuitive, right? To say that we're going to stop and pause for 30 minutes, that we will lose time and not get the job done. But actually, it helps us get the job done faster, right? And we're happier, and less drama in the office too. All right, let's see. So is singing bowl a kind of sound therapy, and is that a bit too woo-woo? And how do we get involved with this type of therapy, and how does it get integrated into organizations and leadership? Okay. So sound therapy, which is what I mentioned about the singing bowls. So singing bowls on its own, you can listen to it on audio, YouTube. You can also go for classes and get trained, or just purchase one. But make sure you get a good quality one, because they're really good quality crystal or Tibetan singing bowls, and there are a lot of what I call the commercial bowls where people make it and they just sell it because it's on trend. So some of the crystal bowls I know that are not well made. They may, instead of using crystal, use glass. And of course, the sound of glass compared to crystal is more shrill. And I've also had people who purchased crystal bowls. I'm sharing because I used to run a holistic center after that awakening. After I became the boss from heaven, I went into sound therapy and I actually taught sound therapy to practitioners who then conducted sound baths, right? So some people, they tried to buy cheap online, and the sound was, the quality is just not good for the ear. So if you buy, really make sure it's one of good quality. Again, leave a note if you're interested. I'll share with you the inner secrets of finding a good quality bowl. And likewise for the Tibetan metal bowl, it matters about how do you rim it so that you bring out the sound instead of clanging and screeching. Now, with these sound therapy, it's great if we can introduce sound baths into the corporate workshops. So it's similar to mindfulness, except that you come with the tools, and the sound therapy can automatically bring us into the delta and theta mode because of sound vibrational quality. That you know how it's like when you come into a room and everybody's laughing and you feel the joy, right? So whatever that's of lower energy and vibration will start to lift up to the higher frequency and vibration. So as you know, sound has got a different vibrational frequency. And so when you have a good quality sound, there's a high vibrational frequency, whatever that is dense in our body will automatically lift itself up into the high vibrational frequency, because our body is made up of water, right? There's water in our cells, and the water would start to vibrate at that frequency. And that is a method of healing, because low vibrational frequency is when cells are not healthy. So it does help with the health, and it does help with the brain waves to get it into a meditative mode, which is what we call the quiet and calm mode of the brain, where you're not like fuzzy and overthinking and stressful. So if you like to share this, you can include sound therapy as part of your mindfulness practice, which was what I did. I shared sound bath as part of a workshop to talk about how to listen. So we talk about listening with sound therapy and all that. You could introduce it as part of a workshop for the employees to experience. You could also, work with your local community to have people come in to share and play and learn. There's so many ways. So thank you for that question. So we're really happy that you're open and receptive to listening about the spirit and about mindfulness, meditation, and also using sound to help us to create a sense of peace and calm and being in the present and tapping into our inner intelligence, because that is one of the big secrets besides coaching that helped me to shift. So I only want the best for you, and that is why I'm sharing this so openly. It's not an often talked about topic in leadership. So tell me if this is something that resonates with you or not, and if you'd like to hear more about this, let me know. So again, this is a heartfelt thanks for you to join me today. I know it's a Sunday night and a public holiday in many parts of the world. I really appreciate your presence. And if you found this beneficial, please pay it forward. Again, share this and go lighten up someone's life. And yeah, and maybe you could offer a sense of peace to somebody else who is stressed. So I'm Anne Phey, I'm a leadership coach, and I'm also the founder of Leadership Coaching School, where I do coach and train leaders so that we can become bosses from heaven. And I support you through getting even the International Coaching Federation certification, because it's so important for us to really be the best that we can be so that we can support the people around us. So it's 365 Pay It Forward with Life Coach University. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you. Ta-da.